next one. So I wanted to let you know, first of all, that this can work for all women. And it's important to know because very often we have this idea that, well, it's all very well, but it's, not for me. That won't work for me. But so just to let you know, and please be open to that, it can work for all women. And there's a very specific reason for that. It's because we're working with the consciousness of perimenopause and menopause. And so if you're feeling that in any way, be it an intuition that you're in perimenopause, or be it full-on raging symptoms of all kind, whichever of those it is, that is the consciousness, that is the shift, which is all that you need. So that's how I know that all women can experience this, no matter how, some women have to come to me with no symptoms whatsoever, and they say, well, this works for me because I have no symptoms. Yes, because we're working with energy, the energy of the body. There's always something going on there. Or, I have loads of symptoms, will this work for me? Yes, loads of symptoms means loads of energy. So yes, honestly, in my experience, it just works for every woman. Some easier than others, and it is a journey. But in every case, there's been this massive transformation. So all for all women, so great. So in the words of my lovely Lise, so before, when I read articles about perimenopause, I was pushing it away. I couldn't talk about it. Now I can. It's a total shift in how I approach the issue. Actually, it's not an issue anymore. I'm becoming more powerful. That's exactly what is the transformation. I'm becoming more powerful. It is a power to step into. If you have any questions or anything, I'll look over here every now and then, but if I don't, I'll come to them at the end. So I just ask you to bring an open mind, because the next 40 minutes could totally transform the next 40 years of your life. And that is what we're talking, next 40 years, because of course we're not going to be in perimenopause or even menopause for the next 40 years. But this is a transformation. This is a transformational time that can set us on a trajectory that is empowering and beautiful. So that's why it'll transform the next 40 years of your life. At the end, I'm going to share top 5 perimenopause and menopause mistakes that you can correct right now to feel better. So stick with me until the end. And also, to get the most from this coaching session, I'd ask you, if possible, to watch it on the laptop or desktop, or whatever. It's just easier, smoother experience. It's more enjoyable. The phone makes it kind of tricky. And please turn off emails, messages, Slack, whatever you have going on, and all the tabs that are often open, 1,000 tabs. If you can, please put your phone in another room, close the door, tell them all, I'm on a Zoom. So I'll try to close the door, and we'll see. I have a large dog who's here, so he may have other ideas. But please, and the reason is, why? Because the negative narrative that I go into in depth on my other workshop on the 4 patriarchal myths that sabotage perimenopause, so I won't go into those here, but it's so strong, it's so insidious, and it's so sneaky. And it just sneaks in so that you're 50% thinking, I'm open to the possibility that this can be the most beautiful and empowering and transformative time of my life. But also I'm kind of half in the door, half out the door, and half out the door is going to be, I'm just going to do my online shopping at the same time, or just half being present. But what I want from you and what is available at this time is not just shifting how you think about this whole transformation, but it's a full body shift. But we can only have a full body shift if I have your full body attention, awareness, presence. So I'm asking you to be fully present for this. And what that means is to close off the distractions, because as soon as that's never going to work for me, kicks in, even slightly, you'll just find yourself, that's a pain. And then you find yourself looking at your phone just to distract yourself from the pain. So I'm asking you, stay in the pain, stay in the presence of, okay, let's do this thing. It doesn't, even this won't be cathartic. So it's not a painful experience, I hope. It's just to be present with it. Okay. So, because what if, as many other cultures have held, this is a magic portal, a time of transformation, leaving behind all that we have been and moving from all that we have been into all that we will be. So if this is a magic portal, what is your deepest wish for this magic portal? Now, is it, I'm a little blank on there, is it Okay, so yeah, I missed some there. The deepening of consciousness is sort of laterally, so I've missed a few here. So I'll tell you just what they are. They've kind of disappeared on me there. So is it your deepest wish for this time, this portal? Option A is just to transform the symptoms, the badass, crazy, annoying symptoms like, not sleeping, and the gut issues, the weight fluctuation, the libido, oh my God, so many symptoms, brain fog, demonstrating, all these symptoms that just come up to us in the moment. There are 1,000 different ones presenting themselves in 1,000 different ways, and so different and unique in every woman, but also in every woman's journey. I was sharing with you on the email a little while ago about my own journey with like really intensely painful nipples. So there's just maybe oversharing, but it's incredible the breadth of symptoms and how particular they are, and how, from coming from left field they are. So your deepest wish may be simply to transform those symptoms, and that would be enough. It may either or also be to redefine, recalibrate, renegotiate your primary relationship, your key relationship in your life, because this is a curveball for that, without question. And we need to get that on firmer foundation for the rest of our lives if we're in a significant relationship, or if we choose to have the wisdom whether to stay in it, change it, pick a good life partner, if we're not currently with a partner. And that wisdom around the key relationship, and also the relationships of the other people around us, to renegotiate, have a new foundation and strength in those. And then I can't remember if there were any other ones there, but it was really around the kind of more normal ones that you'd expect. Key relationship. Oh yeah, one was around that kids are getting bigger, and so they have different needs, less physical needs, more mental needs, and deeper needs. So for us to access that wisdom, that embodied wisdom around their deeper needs, their bigger questions, their deeper questions, their harder questions, and the bigger issues that they're facing. And so yeah, renegotiating, recalibrating our relationship with the kids as they get bigger, and having the presence and being able to access the wisdom to answer those questions. Also then into this realm, it's more a deepening of consciousness. If you're open to or interested in exploring this time as a deepening of consciousness, also refining a healthy sleep pattern, which is, so key and so important. I get some women saying, do I need sleep? Yes, 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 yes. It is vital, and it's vital to renegotiate, recalibrate. I'm coming back, because it really is a transformation, a shift to have a different relationship with our sleep, and a more calm and confident self. Or would you like to support other women during this time? Because a lot of women that I'm working with are our teachers, in some way supporting women. So to support them in this way, because right now it feels like it's kind of a roadblock, whereas no, it is the portal. It is so needed. Or would you like to be the only one of your friends who's enjoying this transition? I quite like that. The only one of your friends who's loving this. That'd be kind of cool. I love the idea, and so many of my clients say it, that people are coming to them and saying, what's going on with you? And just to shift it completely is magic. So pop in chats, please, of what you'd like to be me. 100% beautiful, beautiful. Peace. Yes, thank you. Break free and let go. Yes, thank you for sharing those. Yes, so we will get to these, and yes, in a way, who doesn't want these? They are, they are exactly what we need, what we deserve. So in the next 37 minutes or so, we will learn how to feel more balanced, with more peace, as you've mentioned, some and confidence in our changing bodies. Even if the confidence is currently feeling lower than it's been, it can be higher than it's ever been. To transform symptoms to a new self-connection, an embodied confidence, to recalibrate night consciousness, so that there's no more tossing and turning, and that we wake rested. Also, crucially, to stop wasting the precious years, going from one specialist to another, from one medication to another, or any of the conventional offerings that they just do not meet our needs. They let us down. Not that they let us down, they're just not gonna help us. It does feel like being let down, to be honest. But that's mostly, I think, the paradigm that we're in. And we'll feel more validated, more fulfilled, relating to others with more calm presence. How? It's what I call the third path. So we're currently given when we go to the doctor or when we talk to anybody, 2 paths. There is a third. So I'm introducing you to the third path. So the path 1 is pills and I call it pills and pumps. Now, depending on your symptoms and what's presenting for you, if you have been to a doctor, you've probably been offered anxiety meds, focus meds, antidepressants, or hormonal replacement therapy, really depending. And it seems to be often they basically got 2 hands out. Do you want these kind of meds or these kind of meds? Now, you may be on one of those and not feeling any better, or you may be not want to stay on long-term medication. Or you might be doing just fine on whatever you're on and, you know, perfectly happy with it. But I just want you to know that there is an alternative. And in fact, it doesn't even need to be an alternative. You can do the third path on medication or HRT. Some women are working with are on HRT and they're just kind of, they want to hear about a path that is, because, you know, often if with HRT that we're told not to stay on it forever and ever meant. So, you know, to know that there is a beautiful path on the other side of that. So you can do this path on whatever you're on, as long as you value bodily intelligence and are open to hearing bodily intelligence. Thank you so much. Sleep, energy, libido. Yes, libido is such a big one. Yeah, that was what I was going to say about renegotiating our core. I'm pointing downstairs to himself and core life partner, because, you know, suddenly we're increasingly irritable and with zero libido. You know, this definitely needs more consciousness, more yeah, consciousness really is the answer. So pills and pumps. So that's option. Path 1 is that. Path 2 is to just cope. And this is literally what I'm hearing all the time. Women are being offered these 2 options, path 1, path 2, which is just cope, which just is really difficult. So here, what I have done is just put the words of the women I work with, because they just say it way better than I can. The fatigue. Most days I can't wait to get back to bed. My life is half lived as a result. The feeling of no purpose anymore. I'm so easily angry or irritated, listless, trouble-making choices. I don't make any and stay exactly where I am. The weight is varying. So these are different women. These are literally their words, obviously with anonymity. My weight is varying up to 3 kilos during one day. So I mean the intensity and the specificity of the symptoms is mind-blowing. And the worst for me is the night terrors, overall anxiety and depression. Yeah, making choices. Yeah, it's really difficult. I lost self-confidence due to the shame that I am in this age, no longer seen as valid and attractive. I feel like I am not worthy. I mean, these are really painful words to hear and experiences that women are having, that we have this shared consciousness of this is how women are, this is path 2. I mean, path 1, path 2, this is it. This is all that women are being offered currently. Hot flashes every hour. Procrastination stops me from doing what I love. So how I found the third path. So quick introduction to me, if you haven't come across me before. My name is Sinead and I've been a consciousness coach since my 20s. So I've taught hundreds of women. I've been a keynote speaker at mind body events all over the world for decades. It really is decades now. And also for my other beautiful mission is that I spent 3 years holding the intentions of my yoga meditation students, working with oils that have been used for consciousness for at least 5,000 years, and blending sandalwood, frankincense to make a beautiful range of intuitive oils. So they are like my vehicles of consciousness. So they are beautiful, and I feel like they're midwife. And then I have been featured and presented and been speaking at events all over the world for many years. So how I found the third path. So working with, teaching or coaching deeper consciousness for 3 decades now. And when I came into perimenopause myself, I felt it as what it is, a shift in consciousness. And this is the third path. Experiencing perimenopause and menopause as a deepening in consciousness. Now, if you're into consciousness, if you're not into consciousness, that is what is available to you. So you can use it for consciousness work, or you can use it just for self-healing. Either is you know, so whichever is absolutely fine. So here's lovely Maya. Since starting using Sinead's approach, I'm feeling so much calmer, more intuitive, key, trusting my inner voice. That's where that trust comes from. Full of creative inspiration. Like, I love that, because that's what we're doing. We're opening up all this energy. We're transforming all this energy, and it comes out as beautiful creative inspiration. I can now use tools. So that's the tools and practices that I teach. Instead of lying awake in a panic, which, you know, was the case, and is usually the case when I start, often the case when I start working with women, I gain insight and tune into a deep intuitive wisdom that is mine. I love that. That is mine. That is ours. That is our birthright, and that we're not currently really being, you know, alive to this what is possible during this portal. So there are 3 steps or stages on this third path. So path one, so it's kind of basically what the doctor says: medicate or just suffer. This is the third path, which is to, you know, totally this portal, this transformative, beautiful, beautiful journey. So there are 3 stages on this third path. The first is to activate perimenopause or menopause power. Now, the reason I have my peri and my menopause is because it's either really perimenopause energy is quite chaotic, as you may be experiencing, is yeah, chaotic, huge, overwhelming, and it differs from menopause energy in that menopause energy is different in that it is quieter, but either we can work with. So if you're deep in menopause, you can also access this consciousness. So that's why I have the peri or menopause, because we can work with either. So the first stage is activating this power, second stage is allowing, and third stage is actualization. So I'm going to talk you through those 3 stages now. But once we make them, yay, resilience, but not that resilient. Like, resilience is almost a bad word, really, because it's at the moment it's totally together with this pushing through mentality, which no, but yes, to a strong. So it's a resilience that doesn't come from that pushing through. It comes from a stronger mind-body connection. More freedom. That's a word I keep hearing. 2 words I keep hearing over and over: freedom and easy. You know, one woman I was working with, and it was hard, because it is hard, right? But honestly, the second time that I was talking to her, I think she said the word easy about 5 times. And what I think that's about is that currently the way we're doing it is, well, wrong for a start, but also, you know, like going against the tide, going against the way our body is naturally drawing us towards. And when we start moving with the body and in the direction we're naturally drawn towards, whew, easy. It really feels easy, you know. And yeah, I won't go any deeper into that, but freedom and easy are the 2 words that I keep hearing over and over again. Confidence in the workplace and at home, refinding yourself, deepening your relationship with your life partner, symptoms back in balance. And then the 3 steps or shifts are, so 1, to activate perimenopause and menopause power. So what is that? So it's embodied wisdom, deeper consciousness, a strong intuitive knowing what is and what is not in alignment with your deepest self. And it sounds like deep work, and it is kind of deep work, but it's also really surprisingly easy for women. It comes very easily because you can feel the energy. It's huge. Grounded sensitivity. Now, one of the 4 myths in my 4 myths workshop, if you've seen that, is one of the myths is that sensitivity is a weakness. Now, yes, sensitivity can be difficult, but the world doesn't need less sensitive women. The world needs more women with grounded sensitivity. So grounded sensitivity is a power, and so that's what activating perimenopause and menopause power is a lot about: activating this grounded sensitivity and grounding the sensitivity, so that we're not inclined to numb out the sensitivity. We're inclined to ground it, because it's powerful and it's important. And so that, because the sensitivity is what guides us towards our needs for ourselves, our families, our community, our country, and our planet. And dear God, is that needed? So, also, you know, in a more micro level, we meet our symptoms straight on, you know, and the consciousness, the power is so powerful that not only are our symptoms like alleviated and, you know, reduced, we actually free up the energy that's in our symptoms. There's so much energy in those symptoms. the energy that wakes you up at night, the energy of a hot flash, the energy, even obviously depression has energy in that it's energy that's holding down. So we usually have a load of energy and then a load of energy holding down the energy. So that is a lot of energy contained in those symptoms. So we can transform that energy. All energy cannot be, can't be stopped. It can only be transformed. So we want to use that, work with that energy, and it transforms, and we can free up that energy, divert it away from manifesting in this chaotic way of symptoms to aligning it and working with it, and free it up for other things, creative projects, and doing great things, deep things, important things. So freeing up that energy, transforming the energy of symptoms into energy you can use. Sounds like quite advanced stuff, and I know it does, but all that is needed for that to happen is the consciousness. And if you're here, you have the consciousness. It is there. We just need to activate it, to drop into it. Okay. Now, what happens when we do not activate this consciousness, this power? Symptoms are utterly overwhelming. I kind of think of them a little bit as like labor, a contraction. It's so utterly overwhelming when you can come into communion with. So I call it, in symptoms, we don't suppress them. It's like we come into communion with them. And when we come into communion with the symptoms, they are no longer overwhelming. We can work with them. So, but when we don't, utterly overwhelming. And suppressing seems the obvious option. And, if you talk to people, of course, it seems like the obvious thing to just suppress them. Why wouldn't you? Why would you want to wake up at 4 a.m. and stay awake till 5:36 a.m.? Why would you want that? We don't want that, but we want to transform that energy. We want to transform that consciousness. Suppressing it seems like the only option, but it's just not the way to go. What else doesn't happen? We're basically in an existential crisis without any guidance on how to deal with it. It is a proper existential crisis. So I've been working in consciousness for 30 years. Part of that was my primary degrees in philosophy. So existential crises that is what this is. It's the big whys, the big questions. And we're not really equipped to deal with that until we drop into our perimenopause and menopause power. And then the answers will come. Guidance helps, of course, but then it's an incredibly intuitive process. What else happens when we don't activate? We defer to patriarchal concepts of power, which are desensitized, disembodied, where we push through to the point where we can't cope anymore. And that's where I meet a lot of women, is that, we just have the push through. And when we don't activate this consciousness, we consider power as pushing through, and we got to just try harder, dig deeper. And that's what society tells us to do. And that's when we reach the point that we just can't cope anymore. We seek to reduce sensitivity, and that is what empowerment is called. There's a huge talk about empowering yourself, by taking something, but taking whatever is reducing our sensitivity. And yes, sometimes the sensitivity is so overwhelming, the symptoms are so overwhelming that we may be at that stage that we need to, but it cannot be considered empowering to in any way turn off the messaging of the body. If it's that important messaging. I mean, I do not believe in suffering for suffering's sake. I do not believe if you have a cold or whatever to not take something. If the symptoms are of no use, like a cold, then that's fine. But if the symptoms are your bodily messaging, and like this badass bodily messaging that you can't quite understand, and that really matters, then numbing out that sensitivity is not your friend. So yeah, the desensitization is based on a false concept of power. Most importantly, we stay disconnected from our bodies, from each other, and from the planet. That's when we do not activate this consciousness. And what happens when we do? We feel the truth in our own bodies of what is actually happening. The truth of what's happening. And the truth of what's happening is that hormones are not the problem. Yes, they are all over the place, and they are, rogue, upping, downing, all over the place, recalibrating. But they are messengers. They are literally bodily messengers, and it is kind of shooting the messenger. I know is that a pun or something? But so hormones are not the issue. They are the hormonal recalibration is not a deficiency, it's an adaptation. And I go quite deep into this on my 4 Myths workshop. It's an adaptation. There is a reason that estrogen is dropping. And it's a really important reason. It's really it's important for our self-actualization. So what happens when we do activate perimenopause and menopause power? Again, contrary to the dominant narrative, this is not a time of lack, and we feel that. And it's a time of deep presence, pull into the body, with both the ability and the strength to process what we find there. Because of course, when we come into the body, that is often a very scary concept for women to come into the body, because dear God, what are we going to find there? But you know, the body is so wise and so intelligent and so intuitive, and it doesn't throw at us more than we can handle. So yes, there is stuff stored in the body, but we're so powerful to meet and transform what we find in the body. And also that we feel a new, and when we do, that's where the freedom comes from, that we not just let go of, but we transform what we find in the body, which is a lot of holding, a lot of fear, a lot of, not all sorts, but we have the power, the ability, and the strength to process what we find there. We also beautifully feel a new reverence for nature and for our place in it. So shift number 2, so that's shift number 1 is activation of the consciousness of the power of perimenopause and menopause. And number 2 is allowing. So this is a big one, because in our current paradigm, our relationship to our bodies is quite colonial. It's we want to master the body. And so please, if you ever see a workshop called Master Your Menopause, please don't go to it, or at least write to them saying, we don't want to master menopause. I mean, even just the word master is such a patriarchal concept. And no, we don't want to boss the body. We don't want this relationship, this fight between, you know, us and the body. No, don't want to do that. Yes to dropping into the consciousness of the symptoms, which is a totally different thing. So we don't want to suppress the symptoms. We don't even want to manage the symptoms. We don't want to master the symptoms. I call it, it's closer to communion. Now, it might sound kind of scary to come into communion with your symptoms, like coming into communion with a hot flash. Might sound like, what? But it's again, it's a little bit like contractions, you know. Yes, they are kind of scary, but when you come in closer to them and come into communion with them, their energy, and we can work with that energy. So a more conscious relationship immediately becomes, so a more conscious relationship with our symptoms, they immediately become more nuanced, more multi-layered, more informative, which is, you know, critical. Like, body never wastes energy, ever. It's part of our species. It's a species truth that the body, you know, that we never waste energy. So if there's some energy going on, like symptoms, that is a communication. The body's communicating to you, and it doesn't want to waste energy. It wants to communicate to you. So it's really important that we pick up on what that information is. Not in a cerebral way, obviously in an embodied way. And what they're really calling our attentions to, something we need to hear, because the body doesn't waste energy, and we are so ready and so able. Only now, because we're in this beautiful time. So when we don't allow, not so good. This is this kind of coping, you know, and just beyond coping. So what happens when we don't allow? Opposite of allow, suppress. Yeah. So what happened there? That was, so that was just about allowing. So what happens when we don't allow? Opposite of allowing and suppressing. Symptoms are unheard, they fester, and they may pop up elsewhere, possibly in way worse ways. We believe we're experiencing a lack. It seems logical to create an artificial rebalancing to suppress the body's natural messaging. What else happens when we don't allow? The belief in that deficiency. So I go deep into this in 4 Myths again. Really corrodes our self-belief and self-confidence. And we numb out, we choose to numb out, which comes at a real cost. And we miss out on the true embodied self-healing that is on offer now. Also, we continue the cycle of female disempowerment of shame, all huge things when we do not allow. What happens when we do allow? Yes. So when we do allow, we turn into our sensitivity and not away from it. And we get to know what's being held in the body. We have more self-compassion when we find there. So it's very much a moving from head to body. We have more self-compassion for what we find there. We start to value bodily intelligence, and we start to realize that getting through just isn't enough. So again, when we do allow, we realize that suppressing bodily intelligence is not empowering. So the supposed empowerment of suppressing so that we can keep on keeping on isn't empowerment. It's suppression. and the real empowerment is dropping into the body, listening to the body, being with that intelligence of the body. Symptoms change. They become like difficult dance partners. I mean, not always difficult, to be honest. Some are difficult, and some are, calling our attention to something we do have to sort of, be with and allow. But they all transform. And what else happens when we do allow? That this time becomes experience of self-connection, self-healing, an empowering journey that's all yours. And crucially, we break the cycle of intergenerational shame. Now, I'm going to just keep looking over here just to see if there's any questions, but probably best to come to questions at the end. Actualization, so shift 3. So we've had the first one, which is the activation, second one, allowing, and the third one is actualization. So from an evolutionary perspective, why do we have menopause, perimenopause, and menopause? It makes far more sense for the species to not move beyond fertility, to stay in fertility, so that we can have a maximum number of children. For the survival of the species, that would be what makes sense. So there is a reason that we have a post perimenopause, a postmenopausal time, and why that is. It's currently it's given no purpose, and please do not believe that stuff about oh, we're just living longer. It's just not true. We're not living that much longer. There were menopausal women, there were grannies in the Bible and in all those and all other major texts. People living for a long time has been happening for a long time. A lot of those stats are they skew the stats because it makes a narrative that makes it make sense, that why we would need, we would find ourselves here and need something to keep us going because we're not supposed to be here, so we'll need some supplements to keep us keeping on. But they've used high child mortality statistics skew those figures. There have been old women for thousands of years. Okay, so it's not just that we're living longer. But currently perimenopause and menopause are given no purpose, which would be very annoying. But if it was true, but it's not true. The purpose of menopause is self-actualization. It means becoming all that you can be. It was called flourishing back in the day, but was just for me, not just for me, just for men. It was just for men, and it's really annoying. I talk about this in the 4 Myths that they talk a lot about flourishing in early Greek philosophy, but it is all for men. So it's a time when you're in your mid-40s and you've done all you need to do for society, and you start turning inwards and start turning towards self-actualization. That is a thing that was a given for men in their mid-40s, but not for women. And that is literally, we are biologically primed for doing that right now. So in pregnancy, estrogen increases, restructures mind and body to biologically prepare ourselves for mothering and putting yourself second. That's important. That's evolutionary psychology and physiology. And in menopause, estrogen decreases, which restructures mind and body to move focus to more introspective pursuits, more discrimination. That's what we're feeling. Discrimination, discernment about what we need and what we don't need for our self-actualization. And so we are biologically supported to become all we can be at this time. So what happens when we don't actualize? We devalue this time. We don't know how to, literally don't know how to do it. We just don't. And we seek to escape it or just survive it, which is just missing the glory of this time. Actualization is a mind-body process. We are losing in mind through brain fog, and we are losing through body, through badass symptoms, and we have a mind-body at war and losing that war. That's how, when we don't have this process. We also hustle for validation in a world where our value is clearly nosediving, and our capacity to play on their terms is greatly reduced. And we seek external approval and don't develop clarity on the boundaries that we need more than ever right now. I mean, a lot of what happens just now is that the boundaries are, we need them now. We need that discernment and that clarity on them. So again, what happens when we don't actualize? Relationships suffer. We can stay in an unhealthy relationship, or we can leave a healthy relationship because of this ungrounded sensitivity and projecting or what's going on with us onto others. An unactualized life brings a dip in happiness, and you spend too much time and money holding on to a previous and ill-fitting identity. And worst of all, we miss out on the clearest invitation to your fullest potential that we are going to get in this lifetime. So what happens when we do? Right. So what happens when we do engage in this process of self-actualization? So it is very much a three-part process of dropping into the consciousness and activating the power, allowing, and then self-actualization with the actual things previously appearing as symptoms is now energy that can be used for self-actualization, for projects, for art, for this huge creativity that becomes so apparent when I'm working with women. It's bursting out of us because our creativity has been so linked to fertility up until now, and whether we chose to use that or whether we didn't. And but that creativity is it just gets stronger and stronger, but it comes out, now it's all for us. So when we do, we stop ignoring the well-established link between suppressing unprocessed emotions and real disease. So I reference Gabor Mate always in this because he's fabulous. And so he says, to heal, we have to feel, and with medication of any kind, that may be taken away. And to heal, we have to feel. So we begin to value our unique blend of messaging. So I call them signature symptoms because that's what they are. It's your unique blueprint to your deepest self-healing that speaks to your personal journey, both in this lifetime and genetically. That's so we begin to value the unique blend of messaging that's pulling us into our bodies, and all the energy can be transformed into energy that transforms you, your family, your planet, the energy to flourish. So this is your time, and that is what your hormones are telling you loudly. What happens when we do? Signature symptoms become our blueprints. We feel biologically primed for the mind-body healing and lifelong well-being. So lifelong mind-body healing and lifelong purpose, soul alignment. And we begin living in alignment with our soul purpose. Post-fertility becomes about leadership. That's because that's, the only other species that also menopauses is two kinds of whales. And there it's very clearly seen how they are the leaders of their societies. And that is really, really needed now. And so this time loses the shame and becomes that portal that so many other cultures have held it to be. So many other cultures have held it to be that. So let us allow that. Let us believe in that. So now imagine good sleep every night. Every night. The night transforms. It just becomes a different thing, a more liminal space, more yin space. Just a different time and waking up rested, waking up also kind of more intuitive and often complete downloads about wisdom and truths and big things. Brain fog becomes intuitive clarity. So there's we just use our brain-body relationship differently. Feeling in control of your own healing, confidence in your own intuitive decision-making, feeling mentally and physically stronger, and clarity, crystal clarity on boundaries and direction. So I want you to imagine all these things. Imagine feeling these things. Imagine feeling those three words again: calm, clarity, confidence. They're the three words that I keep hearing again, along with the freedom and easy. They're good words. So the freedom and the easy are kind of like about the allowing, about the way, the journey sort of, and then the prize, but it's just a feeling of calm, clarity, confidence. Being the only woman who loves perimenopause and menopause. So I would like you to imagine those things, please. Imagine your sleep recalibrated. One woman I'm working with, because I often put these three phases, that they are kind of three distinct phases. I often call them three cycles as well, because they do kind of circle back into each other. But the third one, the actualization, I sometimes kind of refer to as manifesting, because that's really what it is. We're getting energy that is currently, manifesting chaotically, learning to drop into it and work with it, and then creating with it. And then that's, the fun part. What are we going to create? What are we going to make? What are we going to do with it? And one woman I was working with, when I started talking about the manifesting, it's like, now come on now, you know, I'm not believing that manifesting stuff. But within a few weeks, she hadn't slept in 8 years and had a full night's sleep in 8 years. Within a few weeks, she was sleeping through the night, and then she was like, come on, let's bring on that manifesting stuff. If I can manifest a full night's sleep, I can manifest anything. So please be open to the reality that you can manifest a full night's sleep. Be open to the reality that you can manifest all of these things. Brain fog, becoming totally different, just a different experience. It's, you know, it's a different experience, a different way of being, in control of your own healing, just with that a sense of power and intuitive power, confidence around that decision making, mentally and physically stronger. Whereas all the, you know, the words around us are telling us that we're coming into a weaker time. We can be coming into a more stronger time, mentally and physically, calm, clear, confident. Being the only woman who loves perimenopause and menopause. So instead of feeling like this, lost her with the first 2 paths that I outlined, I have a proven process. So I've shared some of the words with you. I have a few more of the women I'm working with that it's just working, and it's all laid out for you. It's a proven process. It's all laid out for you. So here's beautiful Angela. The symptoms were like baggage I had to drag around with me. Now I feel more integrated, lighter. My symptoms have all but left me. Instead, I feel stronger, more sensual, more like myself, and feel a deep reverence for womanhood and the wisdom our body holds. I mean, yes, I love using the words of women I've been working with, because they're so much more powerful. So 3 cycles: activate, allow, and actualize. The whole 3 cycles is a bigger time and cost commitment. So I've been asked to do just the first part, the activate, the perimenopause and menopause power part. So this can be the start of the 3 cycles, or it may be all you need. So what I'm doing is the whole 3 cycles is a 12-week process. But what I've done is to cut back to just the first part, because some women just didn't want to commit to the whole thing. So I have a 5-week course with just the first part, the activate. And this could be the start of the whole 3-part, or it could be enough for you. So it's funny. Some women like full, you know, more support, but with some women, you know, quite quickly that it's totally transformed for them. So it's such an individual journey. So the activate part is to activate perimenopause and menopause consciousness. Then there's lots of parts to this. How's your unique balance of the 5 elements impacting on your signature symptoms? Connecting with what your gut is telling you, because our gut gets very vocal at this time. And to really connect with that, with what it is telling us, and to turn broken sleep into night consciousness. So how we spend the 5 weeks is: week 1, our signature symptoms. We really dive deep on our signature symptoms, what they're saying, and they are the key to healing, and they are our blueprint. So that's week 1. Week 2 is what is the pelvic bowl holding, and we do a deep clearing here. So many women, pretty much all women, are disassociated from their pelvic bowl. It's really important to change that, and that's where all magic is. And then week 3, the 3rd session, is about night consciousness. So this completely transforms sleep and wake up both kind of intuitively wise and, most importantly, well rested. And week 4 is gut consciousness, healing brain fog and weight fluctuation by reconnecting with gut consciousness. And week 5 is the portal, how to experience perimenopause and menopause as the portal that it can be. So that's the 5-week program that I'm launching tomorrow. It will transform how you feel. A 5-week small group intimate program where you will learn how to activate perimenopause and menopause power. And it's at a lower time, both time and financial commitment, than the whole 3 cycles. And bonuses that I'm offering with that is signature symptoms workbook. So we go quite deep with symptoms, because they are the blueprint, they are the answer, they hold all the wisdom and the information, what we need to know about what the body is holding, about our own personal journey, both where we've been and the future. Guide to Meditation for Absolute Beginners, which has a value of €27. Magic of Gratitude Blueprint, €27, which is gratitude is a key in how we work to come to the body with gratitude for what it is holding, gratitude for the symptoms. It can be quite hard sometimes, but you know yourself, gratitude is an absolute total, like, you know, life hack or whatever. It just totally changes things. So when we come to our symptoms with gratitude, it's just a deep part of their transformation. And more bonuses is brain fog to clarity worksheet. So this is a very, you know, clear process from going to from brain fog to intuitive clarity. And then essential oils rituals for perimenopause and menopause. And then I also have some special bonuses for signing up now, because this is as a thank you for being here. So bonuses for signing up now. So this is quite a big one. I don't usually do one-on-one sessions. I often get asked to, but I usually say no, that it has to be part of my 12-week or 3-month one-on-one process. But I'm now putting it together with my 5-week course. So that I'm offering as a bonus for sign-ups for the next for one day, basically. It's limited to 10 spots. So one-on-one, dropping into what you're struggling with, and that has a value of 297. So that is a one bonus. And then on that session, we intuit which of the oils, which of my 6 oils, best fits. And that's a deeply beautiful and intuitive process. It's a process I do with all my clients. Which is the oil that will best suit your symptoms, you know, of what the body's calling for, basically. And it's beautiful. And then I gift you that oil on me as a gift. So they are big bonuses. So what you get is 5 weeks of mentorship, a weekly, fully interactive, deep consciousness session, surrounded by a positive narrative of perimenopause, which is critical. If you've seen the 4 Myths workshop, being surrounded by a positive narrative is absolutely transformative. The workbooks and resources for you to keep, and an opportunity to have your questions answered either live or send them in between meetups. You get all the core content, all the bonuses, the community of the women on the same path, fully bespoke guidance, self-care, accountability of support. This was really valued the last time. We had a beautiful system of accountability, which was really, really transformative for women. And of course, the embodied practices to transform this into a time of calm, self-connection, and confidence. So activate perimenopause and menopause power, transform brain fog, mood swings, broken sleep, whichever symptoms, any symptoms or energy that we can work with, into calm, clarity, and embodied confidence. Key to the confidence is that it's embodied confidence. It's actually like you hold yourself differently. And I actually think, I know that your smell changes, which is because odor is an interesting thing that does change in menopause. So when we work in this way, in this deep way, we are also using lots of oils as well. But yeah, smell is hugely important in it all. So you'll feel a huge shift, which I 160% guarantee. So that's I have a 160% guarantee, which is that if you don't feel the shifts, because I know that you will, because you are you've got all this energy that is just waiting to be worked with, and that I give you full all your money back, plus a session, a one-on-one session with me, where we drop into what's the blocks, because is, you know, if it's not transforming, then there is a block there, so we drop into that. So that's my 160% guarantee. So what is the investment? So normally to work with me for a one-on-one for 5 weeks is 1,475, but here you get the 5 weeks of mentorship. You do get the one-on-one with me if you get in soon. That is limited to only sort of 24 hours or 10 places. And you get the oil that we intuit is the oil for you. So it could be the sandalwood, or it could be the jasmine, or it could be the detox, which is a lot about letting go of ancestral stuff. And, you know, in this body and previous mind body, the beautiful thing about the oils is that they work on all 5 bodies, and we work on all 5 bodies here: mental body, physical body, emotional body, spiritual body, and psychic body. So we work on all 5 bodies. Don't want to miss any. And the investment is €497, or I've translated into pounds because I know we have some people here in the UK. So that's £413. So that is the investment. Now, yes, I was going to put a link for the page where I have all this written out, but I got very fancy. And if you scan that with your phone, you will see that you're brought to the page that lays this all out. So you can do that now if you like, and then you'll have it on your phone. Although I did tell you to put your phone away. So, but anyway, I'm just quite impressed with myself that I managed to do that. So the link maybe I should do the link as well. If I can, I will do the link as well. Yes, I think I can. So I can put it in the chat so that you can see it. Now I'm still going to get on to the 5 meno mistakes, as I call them. So there's the link there, so you can check that out if that's of interest to you. And also just a quick heads up that we also have a 3 monthly payment options if that makes it more manageable for you, which is not punitive. Usually when people do 3 monthlies, they add on more, but that is, I think, exactly 497 divided by 3. So for 5-week mentorship, you get the 5-week mentorship, all the bonuses, and the one-on-one session if you're quick, and the best oil for you. Which is, yeah, it's beautiful to intuit that. So lovely, Kira. I'm loving the shifts that have happened for me. Everyone who's meeting me these days says there's a great energy about you, and it seems everything is going great for you. It's such a huge shift. So that's really what this is. It is a huge shift. What are the mentorship meetings? When are the mentorship meetings? Yes, good questions. If you click on that link now, you will see, you'll see all the info. But what they are on this time, it starts this time next week. So I just thought that would be nice and convenient. Ideally you'll be here live, so it's exactly this time next week. They are about an hour, between an hour and an hour and a half. No, it doesn't really go to an hour and a half, but it might do, depending on the Q&As. And that communal time. So yeah, this time. So hopefully that suits you. And it's 5 weeks starting next week. So 5 menopause mistakes that you can avoid. So mistake number 1 is not understanding what symptoms really are. And look, it's understandable, that we don't. But perimenopause and menopause symptoms are bodily messages. Yes, they are disruptive and an absolute pain in the butt when we start, but those messages show our path, and suppressing them can just make them pop up elsewhere. And it is energy, that we want to work with, we can work with, and that is powerful and transformative. Mistake number 2, thinking that hormone replacement therapy will fix everything. Either did you how to get into the info you were teaching? Get into okay, I'll come on to that now. Thinking a HRT will fix everything. So that is one thing, and it's it's often from when you hear what's going on, people just think, oh, it'll fix everything. But I mean, first of all, just to be aware that it doesn't acknowledge the beautiful intelligence of the body. The body is very good at coming back into balance. It's very good at adapting. What it's got us here so far is that ability to adapt, and this is a process of adaptation. Now, the body, is trying to come back into balance, and the hormonal system is one symphony. It's not just the sex hormones; it's all of the hormones. So lobbing in just one sort of dose of hormones isn't going to help the body to come back into balance. It's also, again, shooting the messages of the body. So if just that, what we want to do as much as we can is to get out of the way of the healing of the body that happens naturally. We are often very much in the way, which is why we suffer. But when we get out of the way or learn to work with the body, they completely transform, and the body is incredibly good at coming back into balance. And we just don't often help it, but this is a lot about learning to help it. And mistake number 3 is thinking that there's no time for self-care. Now, time is squeezed to bits, that is for sure. never more so, probably, you know, if you have kids that are getting that little bit bigger and they're, you know, they need driving or they need, you know, more mental energy, and then maybe adults, parents are getting older and then they haven't needed us and then suddenly they really need us. And so, you know, it's like we're just squashed in here, and it feels like there's just no time. The time is more pressed than ever. Plus, we've got the work job thing probably going on as well, which is harder than ever with what's going on with us. So it's really difficult. But what's really beautiful, because this time is so deep and it's such a portal. It's actually quite a shamanic time. That's how I feel it as. So actually, we can get to a very deep state of recalibration of our energy quite quickly. We can get to very deep healing, and it's not about doing more. So I'm not going to be giving you a list of things to do. Who wants that? It's about being more. It's not about doing different things. It's about being different, and bringing that into the moments, into the absolute moments. And for me now, most of my intuitive work, my deep practice, is done while I'm asleep, which is really handy because though it's still important to move and to, you know, to work your muscles, it's a shamanic time. And every woman I've worked with has this deeper, new shamanic capacity that she didn't have before. That's what the third path is about. So you don't need more time. You just need to do it differently. And we can work outside of time. So that's something I'll get into on the 5-week course. And mistake number 4 is playing by the same rules. Our minds and bodies are demanding change, literally demanding change. That's what this is. It's a bit of a mutiny. It's like, no, not going to go on like this anymore. So, you know, nothing else will do. We can't win by playing harder. We need to play body smarter. And that's what this is about. And mistake number 5 is going it alone. So, I mean, you wouldn't, I do view this as a little bit like birthing. I've mentioned contractions a couple of times. You wouldn't give birth alone. This is a rebirth and we have zero prep for it. So ideally we need a doula. And that's what I call myself. I'm a perimenopause doula, or at least a guide. So, you know, that's what I am. So that's what I'm here for. Thanks. That's what I'm here for. So now I would say, one more lovely words. Sinead is a gifted guide whose calm presence, thoughtful support, and holistic approach have helped me overcome feelings of exhaustion, stress, enabling me to reconnect with my body, restore my energy, and find peace and joy. That's Karen. So please jump in now for those VIP bonuses, because the one-on-one session and the free oil is only available, as I say, for 24 hours or 10 spots. And look at this, another really clever thing I did. So this took me all day. So if you scan that, so there's 2 options basically. The one on the left is a one-off payment, and that does get you immediate access to the 1 hour with me, the one-on-one session. So that's the one on the left, and on the right is if the 3 monthly payments are more manageable, then go that way. But the VIP bonus will only kick in after the 3rd payment, but it will as long as you're one of the first 10 to jump in. So that is that. I'm going to leave that there because showing off my handiwork, and I'm going to come over here for some questions. But I actually do want to turn off the camera so that so that anybody can feel free to unmute themselves if they want to.